Ladies and gentlemen, shh. Welcome to tonight's magnificent and very different sort of dinner. A dinner unlike one you likely ever had. Tonight, the yeshiva has decided to have a dinner which I like to call tastings of tantalizing Torah. You will be served, as you see in your dinner menus, various courses over the course of tonight's dinner. And I think there's a subtle message. But first, I'd like to, if I may, share with you a story that I just heard 2 weeks ago at the Dachet Torah dinner by Rabbi Yaakov Bender, the Rosh Yeshiva. And this is what he said. He said, when his parents came to the United States, Rabbi David and Rebbetzin Basya Bender, they were married in November 1938. And they were fortunate that they were able to be on the last boat to leave Europe while the bombs were still falling. They left on September 1, 1939, on a boat leaving Gdansk, Poland, for Sweden. They made their way to the United States and arrived on these shores on Erev Yom Kippur, 1939. Upon arrival, a few days after they came to these shores, Basya Bender, that young, newly married woman who later turned out to be the mother of Yankel Bender, was walking in the street, and she bumped into the famed Rebbetzin Kaplan, who looked at her and said, I'm starting the first Beis Yaakov in America, the Beis Yaakov of Williamsburg, and you will be its first teacher. Could you imagine? His mother didn't speak a word of English. Isra Chag Sukkos, a few days later, Beis Yaakov of Williamsburg was formed. And Basya Bender was its first teacher. She taught in the dining room of Rebbetzin Kaplan, and there were 8 students. Meanwhile, her husband, Rev David Bender, got himself a job at Ner Yisrael in Baltimore, where he was a Maggid Shir and a Mashgiach in the Beis Medrash. He gave the shir right under Rav Ruderman. This was Shana Rishona. Imagine every week, Rabbi Bender left Sunday morning and returned either Thursday evening or even Friday morning sometimes. It was Shana Rishona, and this could not last. So they decided they would ask a shaila, and they went to the legendary Rav Shlomo Hyman, Zechroyne Tzadik Livrocha, who was then the Rosh Yeshiva of Tovedas. And they asked, what should we do? My husband is there in Baltimore and I'm here. They both expected. Can you imagine? He was a Maggid Shir giving the second highest shir in the Yeshiva of Baltimore. He was the Mashgiach. They fully expected that Rabbi Shlomo Hyman would tell them, you must move to Baltimore. But that is not what he said. Rav Shlomo Hyman told them, looking at Rav David Bender, the father of Yankel Bender, the Rosh Yeshiva today of Dachet Torah, and said, you will be moving back to New York because it's more important for Chinuch HaBonos than it is what you are doing for Chinuch in America in Baltimore. Because the girls in that classroom are going to be the builders of families of Klal Yisrael. And that's what happened. Rabbi David Bender moved back from Baltimore to Williamsburg. And the rest, as they say, is history. And that is what we are celebrating tonight. Chinuch HaBonos, with all the great achievements of yeshivas in America. You read about it, you hear about it, you know about it. They would mean next to nothing if it wasn't for a moisad of Chinuch HaBonos like Prospect Park, Bnos, Leah. That's what it is. And that's what we're celebrating tonight. And we're doing it in a very unique way. We're celebrating it with tastings. tastings to tantalize your taste buds. And tonight's dinner has been prepared by Aviva Friedman, who is a graduate of the Culinary Institute of America, the famed Culinary Institute of America. And more importantly, she is a graduate of Bnos Leah Prospect Park Yeshiva. Now, she has collaborated with none other than the legendary Michael Schick, who is still a walking legend. He's walking around here somewhere, to create this concoction for you this evening. Now, I want to tell you something. To be a chef, that means you have to deal with balance and proportions. That's the essence of a chef. You know, there's a barber. A barber has to deal with proportions and balance. Yet there's a big difference between a chef and a barber. You see, a barber snips away here and cuts away there and then makes it, well, this one's a bit, so we'll cut them there. He's constantly removing, cutting things away. A chef never cuts anything away. A chef just adds. A chef just enhances, adds spices there, brings out the flavor there. The difference between a chef and a barber, those differences exist in the two approaches that exist in chinuch in America today. There are meisters of chinuch who believe that you must take a child and his personality and this is no good. We'll cut this away and we'll remove that. And this one will completely obliterate. Yet there's a meisid such as this that understands that the approach that we should take is to add, enhance, flavor. Don't cut away the originality of the child. Don't cut away the authenticity of the child. Don't remove who the Rabbeinu Shalom wanted this child to be. Add. You can change by adding. But don't amputate. So which is right? Say Chazal, Baroseli Yetzahara, Baroseli Torah, Tavlin. Torah is a spice. Spice it up. Add flavor here. Don't destroy the kid. Enhance who they are. Let them be who the Rabbeinu Shalom intended for them to be, and then let them soar. At Prospect Park, they look at each and every Talmid and Talmidah, I should say, and they figure out not only who she is, but who she could become. And that's really the way the Rabbeinu Shalom looks at every child as well. Your children are not a stack of paper cups. They weren't intended all to look the same way. So tonight, we celebrate the chinuch of Prospect Park. We celebrate the chinuch of master chefs, not barbers. And that's why this is such a beautiful blending of these two aspects of tonight's dinner. The way it'll be presented to you to honor a moisid of chinuch that enhances the flavor but never cuts away. And that's why you can have a graduate of this moisid HaTorah that's a master chef. Do you know the editor of Mishpacha magazine is a graduate of Prospect Park? Do you know there's a top investment professional at a top investment bank who is a graduate of Prospect Park? The Rebbetzin in Sderot, where the missiles are flying, is a graduate of Prospect Park. There's a Kiruv professional in Leipzig, Germany, who is a graduate of Prospect Park. There's a prominent partner at a major prestigious law firm who's a graduate of Prospect Park. There's a principal of an illustrious high school who's a graduate of Prospect Park. There's a French pastry chef who's a graduate of Prospect Park. There's a distinguished judge who's a graduate of Prospect Park. There are computer engineers, teachers, accountants, professors, nurses, PAs, and yes, the pediatric neurologist that my daughter Libby visits each and every month at the Weill Cornell Medical Center is a graduate of Prospect Park. But the most important achievement of this Moised HaTorah is that each of those individual graduates, together with all the other graduates, are trained to become superlative mothers, to imbue their children with the beauty of the Messiah, of the tradition of our heritage in a very real and meaningful way, so much so that they understand, like Rav Shlomo Hyman said, that it is they, not their husbands, but it is they who will be the builders of family in Klal Yisrael. The graduates of Prospect Park who understand that children will only thrive when they are nurtured by a parent and not by a nanny. This is Prospect Park. Tonight, we honor those master chefs, and we honor, as we move on to our first honoree. Our next honoree has toiled in the kitchens of Prospect Park for 36 years. He has become my personal friend. He told me today, once they put on that uniform, they become part of my team. Rabbi Eliezer Stern. He cares for them. I've seen it myself. He goes to bat for them. He stands up for them. He defends them. In his own words, I've heard him say, quote, unquote, I have given my life to this yeshiva and those girls. He's a true man of principle. What a fitting title, principle, because that's what he is. Principle, a prince of a man, and a pal to all those who know him. It is my honor now to introduce the president of the yeshiva to make the presentation to Rabbi Eliezer Stern. Please help me welcome Rabbi David Pfeffer.